I have one or two that I want to discuss. Uh, one of them pertaining to the My Pillow guy.
Well, of course, that's one of the
Ooh.
biggest stories. Not just him, of course, but the 40 other people that
Yes.
got subpoenaed.
All right. So we're getting ready to go live, everybody. We're already streaming live to YouTube, not Facebook because I'm still banned, but to YouTube. I think I got like 15 days left on Facebook.
Dude, that reminded me of something. It's not a news story. It's just something to do with Facebook, but I'd
Oh
rather
yeah,
say it on.
by the way, YouTube, share the YouTube video on your Facebook pages. That way people can see it. So we'll have an audience. Some may go to YouTube real quick so I can get it.
Did you change the email for the YouTube account?
I tried, it wouldn't let me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna make a new YouTube account and move all this stuff over to the new YouTube account.
Oh,
But so the reason I wanted to log in is so I can go in and like put a banner and profile picture and add
Yeah, because I
information and all of our links and stuff.
yeah, because I haven't done any of that. So I'm gonna be creating a new one. I think I'm gonna figure out some stuff. I'll do that in the morning. When I get up, I'll figure it out. I would have did it today, but I've been in doctor's meetings all morning. And then hell, it took me an hour and a half to walk to the doctor's office, spend an hour and a half there, and then walk back home. So I didn't want to get home until about 5 o'clock, even though I left the house at little before 12. Not 12, before 1. Let me see here. Here we go. There's our live stream. Hey Jay, I'm gonna send this to your Facebook Messenger. Share this on your page. That way we can build an audience with the rest of the cockroaches.
I love cockroaches.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Joe Biden does
No, I
too.
don't. I hate them actually.
Joe Biden learned all about cockroaches from black people.
Yeah. I think that he was, but you know what I'm talking about. He was using those as synonym. He was calling black kids cockroaches, and everyone knows it.
Oh yeah, I know it. Joe Biden he can't even hide his racism anymore. But all right, so hey Jay,
Yeah.
when you share it, turn the volume off, you dumbass. No, here we go. I pushed the button, damn it. Oh, there he is. There we go. Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Story of America with me, your host, DeAndre Pace, and co-host Rhett Williams. Joining us today, and he's going to be getting ready to take on his new role here on the show, is going to be our new host of our chief news and political anchor, Jay, mother effer Jay. So,
Good
You
save.
almost said my real name. That's why I call myself.
so, you know, let's just go ahead and get the big news out of the way, right off the back. We're all aware here. We've been talking about this for the last, I don't know how many weeks it's been now, but it's gotten a little bit more juicy. The FBI and the Department of Justice seem to be incapable of hiding their corruption anymore. They're just doing it flat out. Order 66 right in broad daylight as the FBI subpoenas more than 40 individuals that may or may not be tied to Donald Trump. And one of those people happened to be Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy. They confiscated his cell phones and other
They
things related.
tried to. He refused to give it up. I don't know if they took it by force, but that's what I heard.
So let's take a look here. Let's take a look here what we can find here. We're going to take a look on this is a story coming from CNN, which is not the most accurate news source, but CNN says that pillow salesman and Trump ally Mike Lindell says the FBI served him a subpoena for the contents of his phone. This article by CNN says that the CEO of MyPillow and prominent backer of former President Donald Trump of false voter fraud claims. This is how they start their article off. Said that Tuesday the FBI served him with a grand jury subpoena for the contents of his phone as a part of an investigation into a Colorado election security breach. Lindell shared on social media and conservative media copies of a subpoena he said was served by the FBI. In an interview with CNN, Lindell says agents asked him questions about Tina Peters, the Mesa County, Colorado clerk who is facing state charges connected to a scheme that allegedly allowed an unauthorized person to access voting machines. Peters has pleaded not guilty, and the FBI investigated security breach episode. CNN has reported that Lindell said that the FBI encounter occurred Tuesday afternoon while he was in his car in a drive-through at a Hardee's restaurant in Minnesota. The FBI stalking people when they
Straight
go
up
out to
caught
eat.
red-handed.
On his internet show, the Lindell Report, he says cars pulled up in front of us, on the side of us, and behind us, and said, "These are either bad guys or the FBI." Well, it turns out they were the FBI.
Which
Lindell,
is also the same thing as bad guys, but
pretty much at
you
this
just
point,
said the same thing twice.
Lindell told CNN the agents presented him with the subpoena and asked for his phone. On the internet show, Lindell said, he goes, "Well, I got some bad news." He goes, "We're taking your cell phone. We have a warrant for your cell phone." Lindell objected and consulted his attorney, but then relented and provided the devices to the
Oh
agents.
man, I didn't hear that part.
He says
What?
here, "I want to say this for the record. They were pretty nice guys. None of them had an attitude," Lindell said on the show. Lindell then told CNN initially that he believed the agents were serving him with a subpoena as a part of a large sweep of investigative activity in recent days related to the ongoing January 6th nonsense. Agents told him it was unrelated. I said, "Come on, bring me to January 6th," he said. He told the agents, "I want to be part of that show." Lindell is, oh man. Lindell said the subpoena warned against disclosure. They thought they were, they thought they were there to intimidate me. That they won't intimidate me, Lindell told CNN. An FBI spokesperson told CNN, "Without commenting on a specific matter, I can confirm that the FBI was at the location executing a search warrant authorized by the federal judge." CNN has reached out to Peters' attorney for comment, and that's as much as this article shows. So it appears, and maybe we're missing some context here, but it appears that the FBI has been stalking Mike Lindell to the point where they were able to corner him at a fast food drive-through in order to serve him over a subpoena and take his phones out of his car. Now,
Yeah, imagine like being in line at a fast food joint and the FBI pulls up on you.
like this is some weird corruption. Oh, you got the
Yeah,
what it is,
you know, isn't it
his,
crazy that a man who used to be a crackhead is now making pillows? Like
yes.
all that time he couldn't sleep, and he's like, "I need the best pillow now since I'm sleeping finally."
Apparently, he got the idea while he was on drugs. He's like, I can't sleep ever, and he's
Dude,
been
yeah,
talking about that.
You will get crazy ideas when you're like methed out for 3 or 4 days.
He got the idea, and he kept telling people, and people were like, "Mike, you're better than us. You don't need to be doing this. Go make your pillow."
Yeah, it's true. His drug dealer cut him off and then made sure everybody else in the city cut him off too, so he could not buy any more crack, which I guess that's a strange thing for a drug dealer to do, but they must have been friends or something.
Hey, a drug dealer with a moral compass. Well, that's what we're lacking.
You'd actually
today.
be surprised how many of them there are. It's a minority, but there are definitely drug dealers with morals.
That's what we're lacking today.
I was one of those.
The drug dealers with morals need to be coming out here waging war against the fentanyl drug dealers.
Well, the thing about that is a lot of times they don't even know it's in the stuff because the person that they get it from or their supplier, it's already mixed in. But that's
True.
beside the point. So Steve Bannon is the one a couple days ago who came out and said the number he said was over 35. Trump allies had been subpoenaed. Had no reason to doubt Steve Bannon is not the kind of person to make stuff up like that.
Fox
Comes out
reported
it's
that it was
actually
over 30.
more than 40 now.
So it's over 40 now. But what do we guys think about this overarching corruption within the Department of Justice that, when me and Rhett were talking, I think it was this morning. I want to say it was this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, that this is just blatantly out in the open that Donald Trump, when he started to pull back the veil on the swamp, and they couldn't hide it anymore. They like, well, they called us. It was this morning.
2016. After that, they were just like, we'll do it live, just like Bill O'Reilly.
He's like,
that's what they said. They're just doing everything.
They called us, so it's like, well, fuck it, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just seize everything. So Jay,
cat back in the bag.
Well, what do you think about this, Jay, as our new chief political anchor for SOA News?
Man, I like the way he was like, you know what? When am I gonna get on that show? He's not even scared of it, man. He's like, bring it on, man, because he knows what this is all about. This is just to take down Trump. This is just to take down all his opponents, intimidate everybody, and it's just an intimidation tactic. I like that he's not, scared or So I really like that part. But I mean, I think all we can do is just report every single time the FBI acts all fishy, and just all culminate it all up. Because what can we really truly do besides Trump, suing them back after the whole Mar-a-Lago incident? It's a fight.
Well, it goes on to show that there's even more reason to believe and suspect that there's corruption, and that the FBI really is just doing this to save their own hide or to plant evidence on Donald Trump, because what else would they have any need to appeal the special master to be appointed? And after the special master's decisions have been appointed, they want to pick two individuals that are tied to Washington, the swamp, that are favorable to them and unfavorable to Donald Trump. And they object to Donald Trump's pick, which I think that in this case, Donald Trump should be able to pick whoever he wants to pick to go there, because this documents are pertaining to him, attorney-client privilege, some things that he is entitled to keep, other things that the archives may say that he's not entitled to keep, even though he's the president. It was the president. He could have kept as many documents as he wanted to make his presidential library. But when you see the FBI fighting so hard to stop the special master from being appointed, it just goes to show that they're fighting this hard for something. And it's not about transparency. It's not about security, because they keep leaking photos of supposedly top secret information to the media. So if it was about security, they wouldn't be leaking it. So what say you, Rhett?
Well, obviously they have something to hide, because as soon as he went to appoint a special master, they're like, oh, it's over with. We're done. We found what we need. But now that they're going after, it's not just that they're going after all these people. This party is using the federal authority to go after their political rivals, and not just one of them. Even their attorneys are being targeted.
Yeah, everyone that's associated with them. And this is the biggest, I correct me if I'm wrong, Rhett, but this is the biggest abuse of power and corruption of the deep state we've ever seen in this country.
They're basically saying that, and by demonstrating in action, that the deep state is above the president, which they've always believed that, but they're just showing it now.
I mean, all this reminds me of the French Revolution with Maximilian Bonaparte. You know how he all he did was just
Maximilian Bonaparte.
I think it is, man. It's man. I always forget his name.
Bonaparte is Napoleon.
I always get the Maxim Robespierre. Thank you. I always get them mixed up. Okay, but it's the same thing. I feel like, man, they're just going after their opponents and just persecuting them all. This is all the same thing. Like, oh, they're just the oppressors. They're the white nationalists, the Christian nationalists. They're just oppressing us. So they feel like they're justified to put them in jail. Like, I mean, how many times do we see on Facebook? Oh, he's broken the law this many times, but they can never say what laws he actually broke or actually sit down and say, why is he going to jail? But then they say he's just broken so many laws. I mean, he should just be put to death already. I mean,
it's really easy to say those words that he's broke. You could say anything you want, but to back up what you say is a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and as I've pointed out several times to multiple individuals, this, ladies and gentlemen, is the affidavit, and we've gone over the affidavit before, and I do have to point out that, in my humble opinion, the entire reason why they're even doing this is outlined right here in USC, under 18 USC 2071 section B specifically, because I mean, again, when we take a look here at their reason to search, this is why I say this is some of the most crazy nonsense. This is the source of evidence. Remember this, folks. The source of evidence. The facts set forth in this affidavit are based on my personal knowledge obtained during my participation in this investigation, and information obtained from other FBI and U.S. government personnel. Because this affidavit is submitted for the limited purpose of establishing probable cause and support of the application for a search warrant, it does not set forth each and every fact that I or others have learned during the course of this investigation. So what we learned during this, from the source of evidence and going on further, is that they found out information from the media, who themselves have never reported favorable information to Donald Trump. And then they say that it's not about trying to prevent Donald Trump from running, it's trying to, preserve the law. But this is specifically one of the cases they put in here, 18 USC 2071 section B. Whoever having the custody of any such record, proceeding, map, book, document, paper, or other thing willfully or unlawfully conceals, removes, mutilates, obliterates, falsifies, or destroys the same shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. And there's the kicker. And shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. That's what they want. But it's like beating over a dead horse when you compare this to Hillary Clinton, who actually did obliterate and destroy documents and unlawfully and willfully concealed and removed documents that she wasn't supposed to have. And even sold those documents to Russian agents and Chinese agents, according to WikiLeaks, who we now know to be virtually 100% accurate in the entirety of what they did during the 2016 elections. So we know for a fact, Jay, that they are doing this to try to prevent this man from running for office. They fear Donald Trump so much, but they are running around here using Donald Trump's name as a campaign device, trying to say that we're all MAGA Republicans, which we should be, because Make America Great Again sounds good to me. Because last I checked, it was difficult for me to buy food a couple of days ago, and I spent $300 and don't have anything in here to eat.
Well, I mean, well, look, here's this one newsletter. I can't read the whole thing because I don't know why my phone does it, but let's read the headline by itself. It was Trump supporter in clown wig arrested at at a Dairy Queen after threatening to kill all the Democrats. Earlier that day, he showed up and gave some money to only the Republicans, and then now he's over there. There's a lot of there's been some stories coming out lately about Trump supported this, Trump supported that. I mean, the media is now engaging on defacing us.
And at the same time, this leads to another story. At the same time, the media seems completely uh, unwilling to cover the report that a Democratic lawmaker I believe in California, killed a reporter,
Yeah,
stabbed him to death for reporting on the corruption. Now, if this isn't Gestapo kangaroo court system that we're living in here, I don't know what we're living in. This isn't like, and back when Andrew Jackson was alive, when apparently he participated in anywhere between 20 and 120 duels in his presidency. So this isn't
While he was
Andrew
president,
Jackson while he was president. They said I went back and was reading on Andrew Jackson participated in between 20 and 100 duels while he was president and survived all of them.
he got some
things
balls,
have
man.
changed, man.
He
I
got
mean,
some balls.
I mean, this definitely isn't then where you could kill a man out on the street and be perfectly fine.
Yeah, as long as the other person agreed to it. Like,
Maybe we should go back to those times. So long as the other person agrees that death is the only option out of this. Now, by no means we are abdicating for death. I don't want us to get taken down because Facebook already took my Facebook account.
Yeah, but they already kind of are. Illinois is passing that new no cash bail, and you can actually threaten a political figure. You can actually kidnap and do all these crazy stuff.
Well, I hate to cut you off, Jay, but we have seen this to happen to Republican candidates very often. I remember the story of if I remember correctly, it was in Michigan, or it might have been in Chicago, of a young black Republican who was helping. He was about 17 years old. He was a volunteer working for a person who was running for office, I believe in Detroit, and because he was helping this individual as a volunteer, he was killed at the age of 17 for being a volunteer to a Republican candidate. And so the Democrats have clearly, over the last several years, been using tactics of this sort to discourage people from volunteering to aid Republican candidates in more liberal states, which makes it more difficult to get the message across, particularly when it comes to low income areas, such as the areas in which many African Americans live in, where it's go Democrat or die. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I would get some looks at me when I'd be walking home from work, when I used to go, when I used to walk to work every day, when I have my Make America Great Again hat, and I'm walking past these Black Lives Matter people. This was around the 2020 election, and they're out there trying to get people to go vote for Kamala and Biden, and I'm walking by with a Black Lives Matter hat on, and they're out there trying to sell $20 Black Lives Matter shirts, and I've got a Make America Great Again hat on.
yeah, you must have had a death wish.
I know you got balls.
It took me a while to drum up the courage to even wear my hat, because I worked in a building that was full of black people, and
that seems like an unnecessary risk.
So, but I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna wear my hat. I built up rapport with my coworkers. They know what my beliefs are, and my boss tried to dissuade me from voting Trump. I told my boss, I was like, well, I said, boss, I appreciate you. I consider you to be a good friend of mine. But if you think that Donald Trump is a racist, and I got to tell you, boss, you're 100% wrong. He's like, he's like, he said they're good people on both sides. I said, yeah, go back and watch the whole thing, because he disavowed the KKK in the same breath. And it's like, okay, he said, I'll take your word for it. I said, no, don't take my word for it. Just go do your research, and then research candidate Joe Biden. He told me I wasn't black, boss. And so, after those points, I always have those conversations with my boss and my coworkers, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to wear my hat, and I'm going to do it or not. If they're going to kill me, they had plenty of chance to do it when I was walking door to door in 2019 as a candidate for Congress.
That's pretty good, man. I like that you stood up for that because I walk around with the Jesus is the only way hat, and I love it. But there's people that are growing more angry at Christians. I've seen this online. You don't really see it in person, but I mean, my brother's always telling me, why don't you just not be in the public? Why are you just doing this if you know if you're putting yourself in danger? Why are we actually doing this? Red, why do you think we should not
I
do
don't
these
think that
things?
you're, wearing Christian stuff is necessarily wearing America Great Again hat is a different level of like, people have been beaten in public, people have been killed just for being Trump supporters.
Mhm.
And that's kind of a unique thing as far as like, you know, most of the time, if you're wearing a shirt or a hat that says Jesus is the only way, most of the time no one cares. They're just like, whatever. But if you wear a Make America Great Again hat, depending on where you are, you could get killed. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm just saying it
You
seems
good.
like
You
an
good.
unnecessary risk to me. I have the hat, but I've never used them as like, I've just used them as like display. Like I
I
don't,
you know
I don't,
I used
I
to
don't
wear
wear, this is all I wear. I don't wear hats. I just
I
wear beanie.
I wear hats every day because first I cover up the bald spot, and secondly, um, I hate how long it takes me to do my hair whenever I was doing my hair because I have to put in the gel and shit, and then it has to air out properly for the curls and stuff to flow. I mean, Jay, you understand? You do the same type of shit to get your hair to be curly and stuff,
Oh, yeah, sexy,
and
man.
so I just put a hat on and be like, you know what, fuck it, put the hat on, walk out the door, and be done with it. And so I wear a hat all the time, mostly fedoras. I have a massive collection of fedoras, which is not here at my apartment. It's in my storage unit, but I have a massive collection of fedoras. Some of them I've lost in various hotels when I was in Paris Island, and I've lost a couple of my fedoras along the way because I forget to get it out of the closet when we're leaving hotels. But I wear my hats all the time, and this is the only time where I was wearing a hat, and it was in the wintertime, so I was also wearing a hoodie. So I would have my hat on, but I would have my hoodie on top of the hat to cover up the fact that it was a "Make America Great Again" hat, so that I wouldn't get any sly looks. But after a time, you know, there may have been like 3 or 4 people at my job that were Trump supporters, and the other ones were all anti-Trump. And I'm like, over time, I built up a friendship with my coworkers. I'm like, okay, I can wear my hat around my coworkers. It doesn't matter. But when I'm walking and I'm over in North Gulfport, which, as Rhett knows, is not the safest area in the world of Mississippi to live in, and I'm walking around at nighttime with a "Make America Great Again" hat on, walking from the store, and it does incur some risk to do such a thing. But I got a "Make America Great Again" hat. I got two Trump signs from when I went to the Trump rally in 2020 and in 2017 when I went there to the Trump, no, 2018 when I went to the Trump rally down here, and I got my signs and I got my hat. And so I'm like, either I wear it or I let them intimidate me. And you remember Mega Man. Mega Man always said when I was running for Congress, he's like, King Odin, I uh I fear that if you run for office, they're going to assassinate you. And whenever we were in high school, I don't know if Rhett remembers this, but whenever we were in high school, we always used to talk about running for office and me becoming president of the United States. And all my friends said that they would assassinate me if I became the president of the United
Ah,
States.
Lee. That's too messed up because look, even a Texas woman just ready, sent him. She's detained by the police now, but she sent a message to Mar-a-Lago that he is now marked to be assassinated. You know, like what's with the whole part of assassination? Like I remember some friends when Trump was first put into office. They were like, man, what happens to the good assassinators that we used to have?
Yeah, that was what Alec Baldwin. When was the last time a president got assassinated? We need to get one. Something like that.
Oh,
Alec
that was
Baldwin.
Johnny Depp.
Was it Johnny Depp?
Yeah.
Oh, don't say that, man. I like him. That's pretty sad. But that sucks,
He
man.
did say it. That was him.
Even the lady that posted the whole Trump with his head cut off,
Kathy Griffin.
I think she was in the news again, like what last week?
Yeah, she's been in the news again recently because she did something, and then,
she said vote for Republicans if you want a civil war, and if you want peace, vote for Democrats, something like that, right?
Yeah, she did stoke the fears of civil war if the Republicans managed to win.
Which is so because what she's really saying is if the Republicans win, then the Democrats are going to do civil war, because if the Republicans won, why would they need to do a civil war? They won.
Exactly. And this is the same fear tactics that the Democrats do, but the supporters of the Democrats are too stupid to see that the Democrats are the ones that are the party of political violence. They really have become fascist.
And then every time there's something that looks like it's right wing, it turns out to be a hoax, or it turns out to be people disguised as Trump supporters. And the one time it wasn't was January 6th, and they use it to their advantage as much as they can.
And then on top of that, January 6th pales in comparison to what they did. They set the presidential church on fire across the street from the White House. Yeah, and they killed what? They killed like 75 people in the summer, injured over 200, caused more than $5 billion in damages. And then that's not even including what they did on the night of the 2016 election, when they caused more than $500 million worth of damages and set buildings on fire. And leading up to that election, do you remember that story about the special needs person that was kidnapped by a group of Black people and tortured because he was white and believed to have been a Trump supporter? I don't know if
wasn't there a video of that?
Yeah, there was.
What? The mentally disturbed person?
Yeah, it was like 4 Black people kidnapped this guy, and then there was this one thing with a 70-year-old man who got his car stolen because he had a Trump sign on this car by a bunch of Black people, and then they wonder why people don't want to hang around Black folks in their communities anymore.
That's the sad part. But look, let me just say this. So there's a book. It's called How Civil War Starts and How to Stop It. It's by Barbara F. Walter. If people really want to see, I remember
Barbara Walter.
If y'all really want to see their plan, look up. There's a chapter on actually how to stop it, because I didn't know this was a left-wing writer or anything like that. I just, I was like,
yeah, Barbara Walter is from The View.
Oh man, you serious? Oh, okay. Anyway,
she's the original founder of The View, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh Jesus. Well, look, man, their plan. There's a chapter that says how to stop the Civil War. All it is just take away electoral college, make all the voting off by federal, install federal agents into white predominantly towns and stuff like that to gain their trust, to disenfranchise and sue the crap out of any organization that's a right-wing organization, and basically to flood the southern border and replace the white people. How the whole thing that they said was just completely fake, the whole replacement theory. It's in this book. Everything that they want to do is in this book. And it's not how to stop the Civil War. It's still to just continue doing what they're doing. We're not the right wing is not trying to do a civil war. We're just trying to stay onto our constitutional republic. That's what we want. It's just sad that they see it as we're just all oppressors and they need like a whole revolution. It's just sad. It sucks. I hate it.
Well, speaking of the border, we have a lot of major issues now with the border, as you all know. And one of the key issues that we are having with the border is Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever the hell her name is, the gay Black woman. She is constantly going at odds with Peter Doocy about whether or not the border is safe. So now we are seeing that we have the most crossings of illegals in this country ever. And we're also seeing now that the illegals are sneaking across the border wearing camo. I wonder who's supplying the camo to them. They're wearing camo, and we're seeing them being dropped off via Uber by the coyotes, and they're being dropped off, and they're running across, and they're escaping. And the Department of Homeland Security is the border security is basically saying, yeah, these people escaped, and there's thousands of them that escape every single day.
I was kind of angry about them shipping out for everybody into the America through the military bases and everything like that. I was like calling it human trafficking, and like more of an incentive for them to keep on crossing. But what do you think that Greg Abbott's sending them to Democrat cities in these buses? Isn't that the kind of the same thing? I mean, I kind of like it because it shows the hypocrisy about it of them really wanting to say that they're a sanctuary city. I get that, but he's still essentially human trafficking. But what can you do if they're going to be crossing like this? I mean, isn't this a good taste for their medicine?
What do you think, Rhett?
Well, I mean, I do like it because I mean, they get to see the problems it brings. You can't just facilitate all these people. I mean, maybe their whole infrastructure or their human infrastructure bill that they passed in Joe Biden's first year, I'm pretty sure that has been funding it pretty good. Because here even here in Odessa, there's a Mexican restaurant that can't even stay afloat because there's just so many people opening up restaurants from their homes. Nobody wants to work anymore. No, and most of the people that do come to her are Cuban, and she's just like, you know what? They don't want to work because they're already getting a house, they're already getting healthcare, free house. I mean, free education, clothes, and yet they say that they're not doing this. But yeah. They're going to the Greg Abbott thing, shipping them off to Democrat cities.
Yeah, what do you
Apparently,
find?
New York is now shipping them to Florida, which is a terrible idea because DeSantis is not going to stand for that.
So New York shipping to Florida, now I have a problem with that because, and I had a problem with Greg Abbott doing it because it's I understand why he's doing it.
Yeah, but it doesn't solve the problem.
It makes the problem much worse. But the problem that I have with New York sending them to Florida is New York claims to be a sanctuary state. They're sanctuary city. Aren't you supposed to accept them? Isn't that what they ran on?
No, that sanctuary state or city just means that they're not going to deport you to your
no,
home
I mean
country.
Mayor Adams had signs up saying come to New York for the illegals.
Well,
he had signs up.
I'm just telling you what I'm reading right here. But it just seems like we're just going to get in this like cycle of just bussing them everywhere around the country. Just like, we don't want them here, send them there.
How about sending them back over the border? But again,
the feds have to do it.
Another tactic that this book said how Civil War starts and how to end it was they want all the illegal immigrants to automatically get a driver's license and to be automatically enrolled to vote. And doesn't that New York already do that? New York says if you stay there for a couple of months, you're already able to vote.
I think so, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah,
but New York's already blue anyway, so it's not really gonna.
And that's a slap in the face of the Constitution because, according to the Constitution, originally you're supposed to be able to vote after staying someplace for, I think it was 2 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. But at the same time,
I don't think there's anything in the Constitution about voting.
The state electors can set up their own law for when you're allowed to vote. But I always thought that it was like you had to be a resident for at least 2 years before you were able to vote in that area, that you lived in.
That is true because
I don't think there's anything in the Constitution about voting.
Maybe not the Constitution, but I've seen that because I was scared that all these California people come to Texas. I was like, you know what? They're just gonna flip us like that. Well, they actually have to be here about, I think, maybe 5 years living in the state before they can vote. I don't know who made the rules, but even the president.
It's a state by state thing. Only thing that's lined out in the Constitution is the Electoral College and how long you have to live in each state. how long you have to live in a place to run for office.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Or it's not. It doesn't depend on the state. It just says in order to be a congressman, senator, or president, you have to. No, the Senate and Congress, it says you have to have been an American for such and such many years. But of course, the president is natural born citizen, but Senate and Congress is not.
And so when we're looking at a whole bunch of these things, so we're coming up on our time. We've got about 10 minutes left here, gentlemen. And so one of the key issues and key prospects that we have to talk about, obviously, is since our last news episode, the Queen has died after being immortal and being around the same age as Joe Biden, who just recently said he's been in Congress for 720 years. The Queen, who I don't think anybody thought would ever die.
Rip.
But
no, I knew she was going to die.
The Queen is. Oh, man, she was 96. It was bound to happen. But
I thought she was going to die when she caught COVID, but she didn't.
I know. A friend of mine from the UK, Sage. Sage says that he believes that coronavirus killed the Queen. I'm like, Sage, she's 96. She's old. She's ready to die. Her husband died last year. She's
done.
She's got a broken heart from her husband died, and then she's got Meghan Markle, of all things, been a thorn in her side. So she's like, you know what? I've been immortal of the Queen for generations. So it's time to dip out.
I see this as somewhat of an omen, like a symbol for what this world is about to descend into, because she was the last respected world leader left, probably one of the greatest queens of all time as far as the UK is concerned.
The only queen I think that might have been better her was Elizabeth I. I'm not her mother, but Elizabeth, what was it, Stewart or Tudor? That was queen way back after Charles.
I forgot what I was going to say because you just interrupted me.
You said it was like a marking for the whole world to about to see.
Oh yeah. No, I think it's a symbol of. I see it as like a marker or a symbol, as a foreshadowing for the collapse of our society globally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see that too, because as you say, the Queen represented Western civilization as a whole, and she's kind of been the one thing that's been tying the older generation to this newer generation, as she's been here since
1952. She took the throne. Winston Churchill was her first prime minister.
I mean, she's seen 14 prime ministers, 14 presidents, like 6 or 7 popes being moved into her in her time.
Yeah.
But she was born, I believe, in like 1919 or something like that, 1920, 1921, I think, if I'm mistaken. And I mean, she endured for a long time.
1926.
Oh, so she's slightly younger than my great grandmother by about 2 years. My great grandmother died at 95. She died, and the Queen died at 96. But she's been around since the end of the Roaring '20s, the start of the Great Depression. She was very active during World War II.
It's crazy to think about how many different eras just one human life can span.
And at the same time, I also think she's a shocking reminder that all of those philosophers that we look up to are just about done. I mean, I look at her and I'm like, well, Thomas Sowell, he's 93, and he's still kicking. But if the Queen's immortality ended, Thomas Sowell's is soon to end too. And we didn't listen to these people while they were alive. And the thing about the queen that made her so different from I think any other state leader is that you never knew what the queen was thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
she followed
Seriously.
that rule of that her mother set to a T. Uh, what was it? Complain about nothing, uh, complain about nothing, and explain nothing.
Yeah, she was very stoic, but
You know,
she had a kind of quiet authority.
yes, and she was very very well respected, and she was had a great sense of humor. I like the queen. I'm not one of those people that sit there and just gall over royalty, despite the fact that king is literally in my name. But the queen, for everything that it's worth, she is the last bastion of state leaders that kind of pulled all generations together, the greatest generation up to this not so great generation.
I
Yeah,
don't think that Charles is not going to be able to hold it together like she did.
Yeah.
that was one part, or that was omen, that bad omen I saw. They had a picture of Charles, his wife, and then they said it looks a lot like Biden and his wife. And I was like, oh hell, I really look.
No, I
They
think
are
that's
really
an
bad.
insult to King Charles.
Well, nobody. I mean, Brits really
Nobody
don't
wants to
like.
be
They don't like Charles.
nobody wants to be compared to Joe Biden, though.
And he was
Yeah.
He was like best friends with Jimmy Savile, the night pedophile of the UK.
Well, you see,
And not to mention that King Charles, as Prince Charles, was quite active when it came to giving money to climate change organizations and the World Economic
Dude,
Forum. He
he
was
was tied
very
in with
involved.
Epstein too.
Yes, he was very
And
involved.
people are convinced that he orchestrated Princess Diana's death. So,
Yeah.
there's a
Well,
lot surrounding him that makes him seem like less than trustworthy.
And if history is a guide, we have not had very many good King Charleses in the history of Britain.
they are pushing for a republic, so they say that's very likely.
This might be the downfall of the monarchy because
Yeah.
nobody likes him there.
And then on top of that, he's taken the throne relatively late in life. I think he's 72 or 77, 73. And, so his son, Prince William, will probably be taking the throne within the next 20 years or so. The queen, she's
definitely within the next 20 years, maybe within the next 10.
The queen has been on the throne for 70 years. She's been on the throne since she was 25 years old, right after World War One. Right after World War Two. She's been
I would
on
have
the
made her
throne.
my girlfriend, dude. I'd have been like, hey, yo, baby, good
if that happened, then she wouldn't have been able to be the queen.
Hey. Nah,
no, it's
I'm
no,
Mexican. Is that what it is? Because I'm Mexican.
No, it's a rule. They have to be inbred.
Oh
no, this family is not as inbred as the ones in the past.
Her husband, Prince William, was it William, or I can't remember her husband's name.
Prince Philip.
Prince Philip was like her third cousin or something like that.
Yeah, but that's not really incest.
Yeah,
I'm talking about real incest is like brother, sister, and maybe first cousin.
But I was meaning that you have to already be part of the royal blood in order to wed the queen and for the queen to become queen. Otherwise, she has to abdicate that to the next of kin.
Which is actually how she got the throne.
Yeah, because the king at the time, the one who was supposed to take king, he wanted to marry a commoner, so he refused the throne. And then her father, King Charles, took the throne. And then he died. What?
I thought he was King George.
Was he King George? Yeah. Well,
the sixth or something.
He died relatively shortly after he took the throne, and then she became the queen.
Imagine loving somebody that much to say, you know what, I don't want to be a king. I don't know.
Well, you still gain all of the perks of being part of the royal blood. You just can't be the ruler.
It might be too much work, whatever. I if I was in that position, I could understand.
I can
Well, I mean,
understand it too.
I thought they were just like a symbol of the kingship. They weren't really,
No, that's
handling
what
so
they've
much
led
of
you to.
it.
The reason why you think that is because of Queen Elizabeth. They really do have a lot of power, but she just chose not to exercise it.
Yeah, and see the thing is, she is the head of state, so she doesn't have the ability, or she's not supposed to pressure Parliament, which is who, and or the Prime Minister, who is the head of parliamentary or the Congress, so to
The head of
speak.
government. That's what they call it.
Head of
But
government.
the prime minister still has to report to the monarch.
But the
Let me
Queen, she also had power over here in North America via Canada, because Canada is still technically a
I
British
think
colony.
there's it's not a colony, it's Commonwealth. There's still 14 Commonwealth countries though. There's a lot of them.
Yes.
You gotta
And
think about East India Company.
No, India is independent.
No, East India Company. It's
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
have you heard of that East India Company?
Yes, everyone's heard of that if they know anything about history.
Oh, dude. Okay, they said it's a conspiracy, though. I mean,
It probably is, dude. That company's been around forever.
they were saying it was like the real
Gentlemen.
Illuminati. That
gentlemen, it's been fun, but we have reached our 45-minute time limit here.
Okay.
So I want to, we've talked about the Queen, so I want to end on something. The Queen, it was pretty good, but it was about her being dead. So I want to end on something a little bit more fun. So
R.I.P. Queen Elizabeth. We'll see you one day.
yes, we all will meet you one day. Hopefully you made it to heaven, Queen Elizabeth. I have no doubt that Queen Elizabeth went to heaven. She was a
Yeah,
strong
she
Christian.
said Jesus Christ was her sinner of her life. So, God saved the Queen.
Yes, that's probably the only time that I will say that about a monarch. But so the FBI, well, really the U.S. government has been releasing more and more information about UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon. This is Rhett's topic here. I just like the UFO much better. It sounds better. UAP. You gotta get used.
Okay. I say UFO if it's not about the government. When I say UAP, I'm specifically referring to the ones spotted by the government.
However, so this particular story here,
Or the military.
is coming out of Ukraine.
That's all.
And it says that scientists in Ukraine say they have spotted several UFOs. So this article says that the scientists in Ukraine believe they have spotted a number of UFOs according to a new preprint research paper. The paper, published in coordination with the country's National Academy of Science and Kyiv's main astronomical observatory, details sightings of unknown objects in the sky. The study authors refer to NASA's commissioned teams to study unidentified aerial phenomenon, and says that theirs was an independent study titled Unidentified and Aerial Phenomenon 1, Observations of Events. The paper describes findings made at NAS main astronomical observatory in Kyiv and a south village of Kyiv called Venerifica, whatever the heck, I don't speak Russian. We see them anywhere. We see them everywhere, said the researchers. We observe a significant number of objects whose nature is not clear. The researchers said that they have made observations were performed with the color of video cameras in daytime sky. And so, I wanted to talk about this because, I love to watch travel channels. One of my favorite channels to watch when I watch a television, mostly because I'm trying to watch mountain monsters. So I can watch them go out and run in the middle of the woods carrying shotguns, hunting Bigfoot. And there's this show called Paranormal and Caught on Camera, whatever it's called. And so lately they've been running a whole bunch of episodes about cloud-shaped UFOs, or UFOs that take the form of clouds.
Yeah,
and
I've seen those.
And so
this guy knows it, man.
I look at them like, some of them seem weird, but I'm like, well, if every weird looking discus cloud that you saw was a UFO, then I saw several UFOs when I was a child, because I remember sitting, laying on the trampoline, staring up at the sky, and I would see these small white discs that were clouds floating through the sky, and they would float through the other clouds at a faster speed than the clouds behind them were. And I just, I never thought it was a UFO. I was like, it's explainable because
It's just a freaking cloud.
the larger clouds have more moisture in them than the clouds without it, so it moves faster in the breeze, in the wind. Is what I always assumed, and I'm pretty sure it was a logical assumption, even though I was younger making that decision. So, yeah, apparently, Ukraine, Russia in general, is really a hotbed of paranormal and supernatural activity. Russia has several different sightings of the almost, or which is the Russian Sasquatch, which most people who believe in Sasquatch believe that the almost in Russia is not actually a Sasquatch, but a Neanderthal man. And they say that because of Zuka. She was a creature.
Well, every time we talk about UFOs, you always got to bring it back to Bigfoot. Like these are not related topics.
look at Bigfoot's background. He's looking for Bigfoot right now.
Yeah, I am. But wait a second. So this is the reason why I mentioned Sasquatch, because many of these reports are often showing that when Sasquatch is seen in these areas, UFOs are also seen in the areas right around the same time that Sasquatch were seen. So you have a group of people who believe in Sasquatch that believe that they are on these UFOs being dropped off to conduct some type of experiment or whatever they were here to do.
That sounds cool.
Or they are the aliens.
Yeah, they are the aliens. Or Joe Biden could be one. He's 720 years old. He could be a reptilian.
Oh man, that's all. I like those two conspiracies going together. Oh, I love that, dude.
I never even thought about that before. What if the Bigfoots are aliens?
I always thought the Bigfoots were prophesized in Revelations, believe it or not. I always considered them to be the beast with no neck. But then I met Jay.
Nothing you can say that.
but quite literally,
my neck back, people.
But quite literally, I mean, when you take a look at gorillas have to look backwards like this because their neck is way down. They're so muscular that they appear not to have a neck. And Sasquatch apparently has the same thing.
Yeah, they got to go like.
They see that's my problem too, man. I got too much muscle. You see it? That's why I don't.
Nah, I don't got no neck. Your breasts just rise up too quickly.
Man, I knew you said that, man.
But the last time I seen Jay on video camera, he had shaved his beard off, and I'm like, Jay, what the fuck's going on? You shaved off your beard and you still don't have a neck.
Bro, that's because I got the best traps, man. I'm like,
no, you know what it is.
Lesnar,
well, you know how we used to call Rhett George Lopez because his head is huge. You say, here comes to shoot the whoop cannon, but Jay is the Crimson Chin.
I'll take it.
You know what? My head has to be larger to contain my brain.
That is a really good comeback. You should have came back with that, like 12 years ago.
It's actually based on facts too.
Well, you should have came up with that when we were in school. But I used to be called a big head too.
I was too busy getting offended when I was in school.
Despite the fact that we offended quite a few people, Quinn being one.
Dude, but he was so easy to offend though. You could look at him and he'd be offended.
Hey,
he just started going on about I hate America because of Pearl Harbor or because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I hate America. He was personally harmed by that.
Look, I say, hey,
he wasn't even Japanese, dude. He was black.
Be like, hey, stop being so niggardly.
We did say
you're lucky you're here. Oh man, good. Man.
But I probably said it to him too.
Yeah, I think so.
But I feel like I got away with it because I'm actually saying a real word that's completely unrelated to the other N word.
Yeah, it
just sounds like
it. But Shakespeare.
It was in Shakespeare.
Yeah, it means stubborn. That's stop being so niggardly.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, why'd you call me that? Blah, we were the best at pissing people off. I still am one of the best people at pissing people off. Jake can attest to that.
Piss me off every day, man. That's true.
But I want to get before let's wrap this up shortly. Let's do this in like 2-3 minutes here. I want to know what do you guys think about Ukraine and Russia being a hotbed for supernatural activity? Do you think that there's something in the region? Well, I mean, for example, most of Russia is completely unexplored. So
Yeah, but nuclear weapons are always associated with all these sightings, and Russia has more nukes than anyone else.
yeah, that is true. They have us beat by
In
about
Ukraine, and a
3,000.
lot of them are in Ukraine. Well, some of them are, especially the nuclear power plants. But
Scary stuff.
maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
I don't
This is
know.
really the first I'm hearing of this.
I've heard of a lot of different phenomenon that happens over in Russia, but most of the time I'm focused on more of the Sasquatch stuff. But the
But
the
now that we
idea,
figured out they're possibly related, or maybe they are the aliens, and we could really gotta look into this some more because I've never actually thought about what if
well,
Bigfoot's really
yeah,
an
I mean,
alien.
they
That
always
sounds
say
so cool.
these are the things that are most commonly associated with Sasquatch from as far back as I can recall with some of the petroglyphs: glowing red eyes, glowing orbs surrounding them, wolves following them around. A moose is usually present. The moose is usually present because they believe that they breed in the same area that the moose breeds. That the and UFOs and recently within the last 60 years or so have been they do those little maps where they put all these connections together and they plot all these encounters between UFOs and Sasquatch and they overlap where UFOs are being seen at the same time that Sasquatch sightings are being reported. And in many cases, some people have reported seeing a UFO, running after it to try to see if they can film it, and then running into a Sasquatch.
That's so weird, dude.
And then there's also strange things like the Appalachian Mountain Trail in the United States is probably one of the strangest areas ever. I mean, we have so many strange stuff in Appalachia. The sheep squatch, the Flatwoods monster, the Grafton monster,
The Jersey, no, not the Jersey Devil.
Jersey
Mothman.
Mothman's one. There's also a Mothman in the UK apparently. Um, Bat Squatch is in Chicago. That one I find harder to believe, but it's supposed to be fucking Sasquatch with bat wings that could fly around. But also remnants of Black Panthers, which we have had those here in Mississippi.
Dude, have you listened to what they sound like?
Yeah.
Terrifying.
And there's also depictions of satyrs being here in the United States. They're called goat men, but I remember stories of goat men, but you also have to think of it. It may not be satyrs. It could be Wendigo, because some depictions of Wendigo have them with antlers on their head from when they would kill deer carcasses.
Stories
and
are so freaking scary.
And you're Native American. You probably heard a lot more Wendigo stories than I have.
I mean, okay, I'm really not. I don't have that much Native American. I'm not that Native American.
Well, you lived on a reservation. You're more Native American than anybody else.
I definitely have heard a lot of scary skinwalker stories.
Yes,
because that's out there on the Navajo Nation. There's skinwalkers out there, and these people swear up and down that they morph.
My grandfather, my great grandfather on my grandmother's side is Navajo or Cherokee, some Native American, and my grandmother used to tell me stories about skinwalkers all the time. That there was this black guy who used to wear rainbow colored pants and a yellow shirt, and he would get arrested, and he would transform his flesh while he was in the jail to make it appear like he was dead. And his stench would be so horrible that the police would just dump his body out, and he would transform into a cat when the police are gone and walk away.
This stuff's crazy.
And so, but the Appalachian Mountain Trails, which Mississippi is technically a part of the Appalachian Mountain Trails, even though our mountain isn't really a mountain, it's a hill.
Yeah, I would say the foothills are in the northern Alabama.
But the Appalachian Mountain Trail has so many weird phenomena, and there's a lot of UFO activity here in Appalachian Mountain Trail. Even more UFO activity happens in the Appalachian Mountain Trail than it does in the Rocky Mountain Trail, which is usually where you hear more of the sightings happening over there in the Rockies. But over here, the Appalachia has so many weird phenomenon that happens over here. Texas has a lot of weird phenomenon in the Badlands. The Badlands, I don't know if you know this, Jay, but the Badlands there used to be a highway on the Badlands called Highway 666. And it was so evil that the US government eventually changed the name from Highway 666 to something else. I can't remember what they changed it to, because there were trucks crashing all the time. At nighttime, there were reports of 18-wheelers that were trying to travel down, and 18-wheelers hated traveling on this stretch of road. They would only do it when they were running really late. And this one truck, he told a story where he was on Highway 666 trying to go deliver his freight, and this green cloud of fog came over the mountainside, and it felt like it just flew into his truck. And as he's driving, UFOs are flying overhead. A spirit is sitting right next to him in the truck, and he's going around this mountain bend, and the spirit is sitting there staring at him. Got his hands on the steering wheel and is actually steering it. And he says, he says it felt like time stopped, because when the fog rolled away, what was 4 o'clock and what was night, like midnight, was like 6 o'clock in daylight, where it was like broad daylight. And he felt like the spirit or whatever it was that was in his car had died or something, going on Highway 666 on that mountain, where so many people have died. And he feels like the spirit came in there to guide his truck so that he wouldn't crash and fall to his death like so many other truckers did.
Stories.
I want to see that.
I sometimes go on like YouTube and like listen to some of these like Reddit stories of like craziest stuff you've seen, glitch in the Matrix, all this weird stuff. I've heard some pretty crazy stories on there too. And there's one video that's like truckers. What is the scariest thing or unexplainable thing you've seen at night? There's a lot of stories about the Navajo Nation driving through there at night. It's scary. It's a scary place to drive at night.
I've driven there at night. Navajo Nation.
Navajo Nation, I've driven there many, many times at night. It is terrifying.
Yeah, and when I was on my way to Paris Island to go see my brother's graduation, we drove through a stretch of road through Georgia that felt like we were driving on the same stretch of road. It was at nighttime too. Felt like we were going through the same stretch of road that damn Jeepers Creepers was driving on. It looked the exact same. The barn was on that side of the yard. There was an old beat down truck. And it's like, oh gosh, here we are. Jeepers Creepers is about to come around. But I just wanted to get you guys' opinions on some of this aerial phenomenon. But I think we're done here. We've had a pretty good show. I want to thank Jay for stepping up into his new role as chief political anchor for the Story of America as we begin to work out our new name and everything like that. Starting next week, of course, we will be moving on to the new platform. I will be purchasing that starting next week. So, Jay, I want to give you the opportunity to work on your outro skills for next week. So I want you to do the outro for today, and so that people can get used to seeing you a lot more often on this time slot.
That was a damn good show. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I love the heartstrings. I don't know what the outro is, man. Yeah, I probably just end it with just a happy kind of ending. To be honest, I don't know. I'm gonna think about it.
Well, how you could start by thanking your audience for watching the show, and telling them to like and follow our content wherever we are. I'm gonna be
that guy. Oh,
you gotta tell them to like and follow us. How are they supposed to keep up with the news? And then you gotta come up with some type of
short and simple. It doesn't have to be anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like, that's the news today, people. I'll see y'all in more angering news next week, because angry is what we do here.
Angry news? Is that what you're going to call it? Angry news?
That's it. All my news is always angry news, man. That's all I get.
Oh, that should have been one. You know what? We can talk about this on our casual Saturday episode because we should have talked about Joe Biden's fits of anger in his last speeches. I don't know if you guys seen it. He's like, think about what you think about. Damn it, think about it.
That's why me and so many other damn people I grew up with have cancer.
he's in there like he's like they're gonna cut Medicare, and so think about it. If you're a mother or father and your kids can't get insulin, well, what the fuck does that have to do with Medicare?
Man,
Think about it. You're sending your kids to die. Think about what you think about. Damn it, like Biden, calm down.
Think about what you think about.
You're old, man. Calm down. I want you to die, but not like that. I want you to die of natural causes. Don't have a stroke while you're giving a campaign speech. Don't become Fetterman.
just like Hitler, man. Stein. Yeah. I'll probably just be angry. I don't even know what I said. Hey, look, they ready.
Oh, what? Yep. So instead of being the angry video game nerd, Jay is going to be the angry Christian news nerd, the angry Christian news anchor. I don't know.
I most likely am, because I'm gonna be like, today, guys, this is what I got angry about today, and we're gonna look at some angry stuff. Because look what these Democrats are doing, man. I swear.
May as well just change it to from the news to what really grinds Jay's gears today. You know what grinds my gears? Tacos don't have enough sauce.
You know what? That really does grind my gears.
But before we start getting on the tangent again, all right. So this is going to be your new anchor for our news broadcasting. Well, you might be doing your first solo episode next week because I have to work. I'm going to be coming. I'm going to get all the stuff together. I'll share the information with you and Rhett so you guys can be able to get there. I'm going to create a new YouTube channel, and I'm going to learn how to do something with the YouTube channel. I got to figure something out. I think I can add you guys to the YouTube channel via emails, so I'll figure that out. But other than that, if you guys enjoyed this type of content, please leave a comment, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Discord, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Truth Social. Download and share content on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Pony Express, your sister's ass, anywhere you can find
that. What is that supposed to mean?
I stole it from Vic DiVitato.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the guy
interrupt you. Okay, let's end this.
The guy who's like, who wants coffee?
I don't know.
You gotta watch that.
Oh,
but yeah, I love that guy. But follow us wherever you can follow us on The Story of America, Payson Williams, The Story of America, PW, and we will see you guys next time on Saturday night with the Casual Saturdays episode. Jay, you're welcome to join us to talk about Biden's angry fits. But with that, ladies and gentlemen,